Everybody learns differently. So first I show you how to braid using colored yarn, and then I jump to braiding in my hair. And then at the very end of the video, I give some tips. All right, so let's get right to it. So I'm going to show the braiding with the yarn first because I think it's easier to see the technique and then jump into the hair. And I'm going to show over and underhand it. So you want to guide with those fingers and then grab it with your index finger and your thumb. So I call them my braider fingers. I don't know. And you want to focus on that middle piece of hair. Now the middle piece of hair is going to change in color, but you want to grab the hair that's underneath it. And now your blue piece is the one that's in the middle. So you want to lift it up out the way and then grab the hair that's underneath it. And each time you grab it, you want to pull the hair up a little bit so this way the braid is staying nice and tight. So you want to lift up the middle one, grab underneath. Lift up the middle and grab underneath. And then as you're doing this, you're also pulling down on the braid itself and you're keeping it smooth. And by smooth, I mean you're taking your index finger and your thumb every time you're grabbing the hair and kind of rubbing it a little bit. This helps to make it shinier and neater, and it looks really great. So moving on to the next technique is overhand, because everyone's a little different. Some people do better underhand, some people do better overhand. And with overhand, you're crossing over the middle piece. So just how in this case, the yellow one is the one that's the middle, you take the hair on the outside piece and cross over the middle. Take the hair on the outside and cross over the middle. And you just keep telling yourself, cross over the middle, cross over the middle. Now this one, again, you've got to keep it tight as you're braiding it, pulling down on the braid itself, and as you're braiding, pulling on the hairs on the outside. So as you see, I lift it up a little bit just to make sure that braid stays tight. That helps to make sure it's neat and you get the braid that you need. Put onto my hair. So these are my braiding fingers, my grabbing fingers and my guiding fingers. So on the two out pieces, the two outside three pieces, I'm going to grab it with my index and my thumb on the outside. And then take the piece in the middle and lay it over top of my index finger and have my grabber finger, which is my middle finger, on top. So I'm taking the middle piece and I'm lifting that middle piece up out of the way so I can grab the outside hair with my grabber finger. And then I do that continuously as I'm going down. So as you see, the finger, the middle finger, the grabber finger, goes through and pulls the hair around. So it's a little bit harder at the very beginning because you're trying to keep it tight, but it's lifting up the middle piece, grabbing the piece on the outside, lifting up the middle piece and grabbing the piece on the outside. So with your index and your thumb, you're grabbing and lifting, and then you take your middle finger through the other side and grab it in, pull it into the braid. And you want to make sure as you're putting your grabber finger through that you're not having any stray hairs, because you want it to be clean and you want those three pieces to stay three separate pieces. Otherwise, when you take the braid out, it's going to be frizzy and it messes up the braid. And as you're going through, you also want to pull it up a little bit. So as you have each section of the braid going around, you want to pull it up to make it a little bit tight. And at the same time, you're also pulling down on the braid itself. This helps, one, to make sure the braid stays straight and to make sure that it is nice and tight and neat. And whenever I'm learning something new, I have to put something in my head so this way my fingers know what to do. And when I'm braiding, I can say middle up, grab under. But you want to say something so this way your fingers are starting to get trained until it becomes second nature. And it becomes second nature really quickly. I braid it almost to the end and then I do a two-strand twist. And that's just because it cuts down on the tangles. Whenever I braid all the way to the end, when I'm trying to take it loose, it ends up getting knotted. And that's just because my hair is not cut even. It's just what happens. Now, I generally braid on stretched hair, but when I'm wearing just the braids, I will wet my ends and add some oil and some cream and some curling cream so I can get that little curly cue at the end. But it's not necessary. It's just what I like to do. Your first braid is not going to be perfect. Your fingers are not going to know what to do the very first time you braid. But let's say you're doing your entire head, your very last braid will look better than your very first braid. And that's your goal. Over time, just keep practicing, sticking with it, and don't get frustrated. And before you know it, you'll be braiding and your fingers will move faster than you realize. All right, thanks for watching. And the next video after this one is going to be how to cornrow.